Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear us and see us. My name is Jim Crittenden. I'm the coordinator of alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention at the San Diego County Office of Education. Welcome to our session this afternoon. We want to, the kind of a panel of us will talk about some resources that we have available to you at the County Office of Education, specifically around youth engagement and how we can engage youth to assist us in all of our prevention efforts. So I'm going to go through some slides quickly, and then I'll turn it over to Sal Garcia is our Friday Night Live, Club Live guy. He's our youth development coordinator at the County Office of Ed. Alex Swift is a youth development assistant who works on a lot of tobacco and vaping issues through our Toolkit programs. And then Rocky Herron should be joining us. Rocky is new to us and is our AOD ambassador. And he spent 30 years in the DEA in San Diego and recently retired from the DEA and joined our team to really start doing some targeted presentations in schools throughout the county. So we hope he's traveling, so he may be having technical issues or may have forgotten about the time change. I don't know, but we hope that he is here soon. So let me, there we go. I'm having cursor issues. I apologize. There we go. So let me go over just a few resources that we have at the County Office of Education. These links, unfortunately, in my PowerPoint are not live, but we'll put these links in the chat. But I'll discuss the two a couple of websites that I want to show you. First is Operation Prevention San Diego. Operation Prevention San Diego really came about a couple of years ago. It was a recognized formal partnership between San Diego County Office of Education and the DEA. We signed a formal partnership letter. Be 2 years this December, so it's been going on for 2 years. Out of that partnership, we developed a kind of a countywide collaborative where we looked at we got together school districts, some middle schools, some high school districts, at least in every region of the county. We pulled together all the county funded prevention initiatives, the marijuana prevention initiative, Mass Strike Force, prescription drug abuse task force, and alcohol policy panel. So all those folks kind of come together quarterly and really look at trends that are affecting schools. We know that there's a lot of collaboration in San Diego County, and we all end up attending a lot of various countywide meetings. But this OPSD was really to focus on school issues and to take a look at trends that are happening in schools, and for those agencies around the table to really develop plans to kind of, how can we, what resources do we have, what can we do to kind of address emerging trends much quicker. Some of the things that we've put together through OPSD is a vaping TOT. We knew that vaping was a huge challenge for schools and that many different agencies were out there doing presentations. So we put together some resources to assist agencies in doing those presentations. We put together, well, first of all, we worked with the Live Well project to enhance their tools for schools to become a searchable database, which we'll talk about in a moment. That was kind of through Operation Prevention San Diego as well. Recently, we've done some recommendations on doing tiered interventions in schools when kids get caught for tobacco offenses. What do we do with them the first time, second time, third time? And we've also put together some guidelines that is definitely a work in progress, but put together some guidelines on safe handling and safe disposal of vaping devices on school property. So those are some of the things that we have done as Operation Prevention San Diego Collaborative. The website that we have on our county office page will take you. There are several different resources. First and foremost is the Operation Prevention San Diego page through the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA here in San Diego. They've put together kind of a collection of lesson plans and curriculum for students in middle school and high school. There's a section for educators, a section for parents, and a section for community members to utilize those resources. We also on this page link to all the different county initiatives and all the different county regional prevention and treatment providers. We link to the Live Well tools for schools as a resource guide. And then there are just several other resources on this page that are county and national resources such as NIDA, Natural High. We have a couple of one-pagers on there, a teen guide to substance abuse and where teens can go for help. So it's really we're looking at this as a resource page, and it's a work in progress, and we continue to add resources to this page. Second page I want to share with you is the Naloxone Tool Kit. We are strongly encouraging all schools, middle schools and high schools, to obtain naloxone to have on hand in your nursing office or in your principal's office or school resource officers or coaches. And we've put together a toolkit that will take you through the entire process. We have access to all schools have access to at least 2 doses of free naloxone per site through the California Department of Healthcare Services. There's a standing order. Part of the toolkit is a standing order. We have sample board policies. If you feel like your board needs to update their policies around this issue or allow naloxone on campuses. We don't think policies are necessary, but school policies are always a good thing. So if you did want a school policy around the use of naloxone, or at least having naloxone on hand, there are some sample board policies on there as well. It also includes the assembly bills and the ed code that allows for schools to have naloxone on campus. So again, just kind of a toolkit, step-by-step process, and we'll put this link in the chat. I want to leave you, before I turn it over to Sal, with some good news, albeit probably surprising news. And I need to give a disclaimer. This is Healthy Kids Day. I'm going to give you some Healthy Kids data over the last 2 administrations. So from 2018 to 2019, and then our most recent administration in our county was 2020 to 2021. And the caveat is we see some surprising data. And we know that the total number of students that took part in the survey in 2020 to 2021 is about half of the students that participated in the survey in 18-19. And we all know by now, that's due to COVID and distance learning and hybrid learning. And so the other thing is we've got about half the N, and we also administer the survey much different than normal. Most schools did it online. There are a few districts that had students on campus much earlier than other districts that were able to do the survey live in person. But for the most part, schools administer the survey online. So we've got a different administration, and we've got much less students participating. So there's kind of an asterisk by the data, but when we talk to the researchers at WestEd, they're still not convinced. They don't have a solid answer for us whether or not those two variables really impacted the trends that we're seeing. So I'll go over this quickly. I think some of it might surprise you. 30-day cigarette use, we've been seeing that decline drastically over the last 10 plus years. And we're hovering right about 1% in grade 11 now. And this is 30-day use. Obviously lifetime use or kids that have experimented is much higher, but I like to present on the 30-day use. 30-day vaping use went down again in 11th graders from 12% to 6%. That is a huge decrease in the number of students vaping. 30-day alcohol use also continues to decline. That's another thing that's been declining relatively rapidly over the last 10 or so years, down a few percentage points in grade 11, and also 30-day, which may be extremely surprising to a lot of you out there, and it is to most of us, but 30-day marijuana use, again, the regular users also decreased significantly in grade 11. So we think there's a couple of variables here. One, as you know, drug use for those kids that are experimenting or not quite the regular users, and certainly not to the point of dependence or addiction. It's a social thing for them. So not being with their classmates, not having all their opportunities to gather, probably has something to do with seeing these decreases in certainly vaping and marijuana use because of the social aspect of that. For those kids that are experimenting. So we may see this tick up again when we do the survey again in 22, 23, but for right now, we don't know. We also have some national data that kind of backs this up. They're saying that vaping products retail has dropped about 25% in the last 2 years. So we are finally starting to see a decrease in vaping. Meth use and stimulant use and prescription drugs has been stable over the last 10 years at about 3% for those students, which again may be surprising since we're hearing so much about the fentanyl and opioid crisis. So I'll leave you with this. It appears that less kids are using drugs, but we know two things. We know the ones that are using in much greater quantities than what they used to use. They're using regular, they're using daily, they're using multiple times a day, they're using much greater portions than they used to. And the second thing is we know that the students that are using drugs are using extremely dangerous products. We've never seen products on the market until the last few years, like 98% THC, right? When we legalized marijuana, we were talking about products that were smoked that might have been 10%. Now some of the smokable products out there might be 20%, but what students are eating and vaping and all the waxes and all those different products are upwards of 98, 99% THC. We have no data on that. There's no way to test people using high potency THC products, but we do know anecdotally that the Dr. Levs of the world, a real treasure in San Diego County, emergency room doctors all across the county report seeing issues related to marijuana on a daily basis in emergency rooms, whether it's psychosis or the vomiting, the scromiting, as Dr. Lev has coined. I love that term, the vomiting, so we know that there are issues with these high potency products, but we don't have the data and they're not regulated as they should be. The states have the ability to regulate how much THC can be in marijuana products, but as of right now, they are not. So we're seeing these really high potency products, and now, of course, we're seeing the counterfeit pills. So what kids are using are much more dangerous now than in the past. So even though we see less kids using, we're seeing many more young people dying and having issues related to high potency products and the counterfeit pills that are hitting the market. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sal. I'll be monitoring the chat. I'm going to stop sharing.
There is a question for you, Jim.
Oh, all right. I like the
pass it
question.
on. Can you please explain 30-day use versus long-term or regular users and how you collect that data, please?
Right. So the California Healthy Kids Survey asks questions in two different fashions. The first question is, have you ever used? So that would be your lifetime use. Second question is, have you used in the last 30 days? And then they break it down to, have you used more than one? Have you used it once? Have you used it 2 to 4 times? Have you used it 4 to 6 times? So there's a kind of a range of use. So this is anyone that has used in the past 30 days. We could break this down further and take a look at kids that are using 20 or more times in the last 30 days, which would be all, almost daily. So we have that data as well. This data is specific to any kid that has used in the past 30 days. But the question on the survey does break it down to how many times they have used in the last 30 days. So we've got lifetime use, we've got 30-day use, and then you can break 30-day use down into how many days within that 30-day that students have used. And that's all in the California Healthy Kids survey report. If anybody wants a copy of the latest countywide report from 2021, you can email me directly and I'll make sure you get that. Thank you, Sal. Any other questions? Nope. All right. Allow me to stop sharing. And we'll bring back Sal. All right. Once again, Sal Garcia, Coordinator of Youth Development, and runs our Friday Night Live and Club Live programs.
All right. Does it look good, Jim?
It does. You're good.
All right. Got slides. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Sal Garcia. I'm with the San Diego County Office of Education, Friday Night Live Club Live program. I'm going to be discussing a youth development opportunity for your site or your community. So Friday Night Live is a youth leadership development group or youth leadership development program out of the San Diego County Office of Ed that works with young people to help them be young leaders in their community. And we know that young people are leaders, and we go into schools and hopefully help them get some direction and refine those leadership skills so that they can create some change in their school or community, depending on what the young people are looking for. So that's kind of in general, like, why would I want this in my schools? Because you're really refining and developing leaderships. But we also have different aspects of our Friday Night Live program. And I'll explain what Friday Night Live is, as well as explain the different tiers, which is here. So we have our high school group, which is Friday Night Live. And Friday Night Live was developed in the 80s. So we're over a 30-year-old program. I was a part of the program when I was in middle school and high school, and a lot of the participants that are working with me now, or a lot of my colleagues, are also former participants in the program. So in middle school and high school, and we also have a cross-age mentoring program. So the middle school program is called Club Life. Friday Night Live is our high school, and Friday Night Live Mentoring is our cross-age mentoring program. And Friday Night Live was started in the 80s because a lot of young people were dying to traffic-related incidents with young people using. And so they were either using alcohol or other drugs. And so a bunch of high schoolers came together and said, we'd like to keep our peers alive on Friday night. And so it's not Saturday Night Live, it's not Friday Night Lights, it's Friday Night Live, or we simply go by FNL. And so for the remainder of this, I'll use FNL just to help kind of brand that with you. But that is kind of the programs and the different levels. We can exist in a school-based, community-based, or faith-based group. We also support our court schools internally with our SDCOE programming. And we are a statewide program, and meaning that we are from Del Norte all the way to San Diego, and from Orange County all the way to Santa Barbara and San Bernardino. So our program and Friday Night Live extends, and it's housed in different agencies depending on where you go. But Friday Night Live as a whole is a youth serving organization. And it's, so we in San Diego County, we're in about half the school districts in San Diego County, and we partner with all of the regional funded partners that work in San Diego. And so like I explained earlier, started in '84 in Sacramento and expanded throughout the years. And it shifted from a traveling presentation display to more of a youth development or active, youth development framework later in the 90s. And in the middle, it was the kind of experience of, if we keep them busy, they'll stay out of trouble. Well, we've evolved since then and really learned a lot from working with young people and ensuring that we work with them. So this is our mission statement and what Friday Night Live seeks to do, and is really engaging young people as leaders and resources in their communities, and not something that needs to be fixed, but a partner that will work with us to help shape their communities. San Diego is a big county, and so every issue that a young person that might be facing in their school or in their community is going to be different than a young person across the county. So something that is unique to Julian is going to be very different to someone in Chula Vista. So we want to make the program responsive and relevant to them, and we do that by connecting our standards of practice, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So we function almost like a builder club, if you think about it. Or a key club is we have young people that meet either during school or after school, which could be a lunchtime or after school time. And we work with them to develop a chapter. And the chapter just means that they've given us a one pager that says that gives us a little bit about the demographics of the club and who's working there and what they are looking to do as a program. They could do anything from bullying to preventing alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use amongst their peers on their campus or in their community. And it has that much flexibility because it's really, we're focusing on engaging young people as active leaders, and what they're interested in is what they see as an issue in their community is what we are going to focus with them on. And so how do we start a chapter? Well, we need a caring adult, either on campus or as part of a community group. Someone that works with young people regularly, that is approved by the agency or the school, and that can help us connect with them. We could also partner with an existing club. And in a little bit, I'll talk about some of the opportunities that the young people that participate in our program get to do. And those are part of being part of our network. And so we need young people, we need that adult, and we need a safe space for them to be able to meet. So we have 4 youth development assistants in our program, and we have a program secretary as well as some admin that help provide all the support to the sites. We have about 56 different school sites and community chapters around the county, and those are supported also by teachers assistants, which are what we call interns. And everyone on our team is FBI, DOJ cleared and gone through all the clearinghouse to be able to attend and be on campus, as well as in a community group, as well as TB tested, which is required of us as a school entity. So, and they're all college interns that are either former students or young people that are interested in being in education. And so the standards of practice that I spoke about a little bit earlier is that anytime we work with the site, we want to ensure that they experience a safe environment, physically as well as emotionally. We want to have them engage in the community And we also want them to have those opportunities for leadership and advocacy. And that's why that advocacy and that leadership is going to look different from each site, because they're going to be actively engaging and identifying that as they go. We also want them to build caring and meaningful relationships with peers, but as well as adults. That's an important distinction also, because we want to make sure that whenever they're in that room, they are experiencing a safe place, but also that they are connecting with their peers and with adults. And I'll talk a little bit about what we measure and how we measure in a second. And also, we want to make sure that they find the skills that they're learning relevant for what they're interested in. And so we have those are standards of practice, and that's kind of the guiding building blocks of Friday Night Live and what we do. When we measure them through a youth development survey. The youth development survey is administered by the California Friday Night Live Partnership, and they provide us a survey that we give to all of our sites for students in the program that have participated at least 6 months of programming. And that programming is important because we can't ask this of someone that's been there for one meeting, because they're not going to be able to accurately tell us what they are enjoying and things that we can improve about the program. So of the survey that we took in 2019, 100% of them felt sufficient or strongly safe when attending our programs. And additionally, they felt connected to the school, 90%, which was sufficient and strong. And when we compare this to the California Healthy Kids survey, and this is about the same year, I captured the same year data, is that 61% of 11th graders felt that they were close to people, 51% felt that they were part of the school. And so when we compare those, the young people that attend our program really do feel part of the school and feel part of the program, and they want to be there, and they sometimes come to school just because they're going to be able to be part of the program that day. And so now I'm going to give a little bit of example of some of the projects that young people can participate in. And I'm going to cut it short and go a little quicker through this, but some of the projects that we can participate in, and something that our young people can, or some of our interns and team members can come out and facilitate. So one of them is Photovoice, which is a participatory action research method, which really engages young people to take photos, which is a tool that they have in their pocket that they utilize all day. But now we utilize it to help them take photos. We teach them about photo taking, photography, as well as telling a story with photos, and then helping them pull together decision makers to make presentations about those photos that they took, writing about how it makes them feel, and hoping to create some type of a change. And so this group that I did a few years ago, they were able to, because of these photos that they took, were able eventually to get a meeting with their city manager, and then were able to create that change that they were looking for, which is they didn't feel safe. It all came down to safety and feeling more safe. And they were able to increase signage, they were increased lighting in the community, and they were able to increase a bus stop for them, so that when they get on and off the bus, that they were able to get on without going through cars. And so that's just kind of a small part of some of the presentations they do. We practice and prepare for town halls and community meetings. And we also have different events that we do a year. So some of them include prevention campaigns like Red Ribbon Week, or Great American Smokeout. But we also have advisor trainings for those advisors that sign on to be part of our program, youth leadership trainings and conferences, and recognition dinner at the end of the year. And just talk about the trainings a little bit. So we do have some trainings for youth specifically. We have our Fall Leadership Summit, which just occurred recently. And then we also have different trainings and opportunities that we work with groups as well. But the big ones that people really kind of know us for is our 2 conferences that we have. In the last year, we've had to do it virtually, and we're hoping this year we'll be able to do it in person. But we have a middle school and a high school youth leadership conference. And those are really, imagine an adult conference where we have workshops, we have general sessions, we have learning, but we also mix in the fun that young people need, which is a talent show, a dance, and these discussion pods where they meet young people from other parts of the county or other parts of Southern California, and learn and really discuss what it is to be in a youth leadership program, what it is to advocate for your community, your school, and how they're part of a bigger network, and how in growing and learning. We also work on parent engagement and connecting parents either through our end of year dinner, town halls, and city council presentations. And so this is kind of what it looked like this year, and I'm going to wrap up here. But our pandemic is all on screens, right? So we've had to really make that the way we do things. And if not this year, for sure next year, we're hoping to really be in person for the remainder of all of our activities. So that's Friday Night Live. Follow us San Diego Friday Night Live or San Diego FNL, and you can send me an email or call me if you have any questions or if you're interested or think someone at your school or community would be interested in having this. Any questions, Jim?
I am not seeing any questions.
All right, I kind of flew through it. All right, and I'm going to hand it over to Alex.
But Sal, I do have a question, quick question. How
Yes,
many,
sir.
just estimate, you know, I know that it was kind of designed to be an ATOD program back in the day, but do you have chapters working on other issues, other than ATOD?
What we do, they can work on a whole bunch of different types of things, and as well as the populations that they choose to connect with as well. And Alex has an example of one that she might be trying to do, but the idea is that unless it's directly tied to funding, they can really address any type of topic, whether it's bullying, homelessness,
Right.
any topics that they're interested in addressing.
Okay, great. And there is a question from Anna, and I'm not sure, Anna, if you could put a little more in the chat. I'm not sure who this is for, but can you share the content of your parent workshops briefly? I don't know if that's for Sal or if that's
For Alex, maybe?
for all, yeah, for all of us, because we'll all be, Alex and Rocky will both be talking about parent workshop as well. FNL. So FNL, do you work with parents at all? For FNL, do
We
you do
do.
workshops for parents?
We
Or
do, and we
do
love
you
to
focus on
work with young
advisors?
people to prepare some messaging for parents. And so if that's something that you think would be great, yes, we do work with parents on either doing presentations, and if we do get a club on campus, depending on the school that you're thinking of, they are always a great deliverer of messages as well. They do the best job, better than adults really, on really making sure that they advocate for themselves. So we'd love to learn more about kind of what you're thinking, Anna, and how we can partner with you.
Perfect. Thanks, Sal. Since I've got the mic, I'll just turn it over to, I'll go to Alex, Alex Swift, Youth Development Assistant, working with Friday Night Live and also our two-payer tobacco use prevention education programs. Alex.
Thanks, Jim, and thanks, Sal. Like Jim said, my name is Alex Swift. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the youth development assistants. So I work with our Friday Night Live program, doing some of those, working with some of those chapters, middle school and high schools. And I also work with our tobacco use prevention education. So to just follow up with what Sal said on an example of where a chapter might be working on something that's not ATOD prevention. One of the chapters that I'm working with this year is out at Mountain Empire High School, and I've partnered with the Key Club there. So at that school, it's Key Club / Friday Night Live. And so I go every other week to support the chapter. And their focus is more on community service. So they've been doing cleanups. We're working on planning a food drive for the month of December while they're in school. They did some Red Ribbon Week activities for drug prevention awareness, but that was just one piece of kind of their overall goal of just making their school and their community a healthier place for everyone. So that's some ways where I'm there as a Friday Night Live liaison staff person to support them, but the support that I'm giving isn't necessarily ATOD prevention. It's whatever the young people want to focus on. And that's really one of my favorite things about Friday Night Live is that it really gets to be whatever the young people want it to be. And then we get to help facilitate that. So we can work on capacity building. We can help them learn how to do a presentation so they can feel comfortable getting up in front of their school board or the parents or city council, whatever the case may be, or we can help them create PSAs. We can help them put together well-researched, information and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff we can do, and that's why it's such a great resource for really anyone here in the county, schools, faith groups, community organizations. So that's kind of the Friday Night Live part of my job, but I also do tobacco prevention work, and that mostly comes in the form of presentations. So in a minute, I'm going to share my screen. I may have to turn off my camera to help with some internet issues so that you all can see what I'm talking about. So we'll kind of deal with that as it comes. But most of that looks like presentations to students. And I try to be really flexible in terms of what that presentation is going to be to meet the needs of the school or organization that I'm presenting to, whether it's an assembly where I'm presenting to, you know, an auditorium full of students, or if it's something like, you know, I've done presentations where the goal is to present to all of the 8th grade science classes. So over the course of the semester, I'm at the school, you know, 5 different days kind of spread out. And one day I'm with one science teacher and I just present to all of their classes. And then 2 weeks later, I come back and I'm with another science teacher and I present to all of their classes, and kind of anywhere in between. To get, you know, all of the 7th grade PE classes or all of the freshman English classes, and kind of just whatever is going to work best for the school, and being able to meet those needs to accomplish the goal that they want to accomplish. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like, my main presentation is, I call it What You Need to Know. So this is a basic overview of some information about vaping. There's a little bit traditional tobacco products, but the focus is mostly vaping because that's mostly when students are using tobacco products. They're mostly using vaping products. So I go over an overview of that. We talk about current products. We talk about puff bars. We talk about the health risks, what aerosols are, and secondhand smoke and nicotine. There's a video that I really like using in these presentations, and Sal's going to put the link to it in the chat. I'm not going to play it right now, but it's only a few minutes long, and it really does a great job of explaining what happens to the developing brain when a substance like alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs is being used. So for my purposes, I relate it to tobacco use and nicotine addiction, and this is what happens when nicotine interacts with the developing brain, but you could also use it for alcohol or other drug prevention as well. So that video just on its own is a great resource. And, you know, focusing on the developing brain, some of those health risks, the nicotine salts, the chemicals that are in them, secondhand smoke and thirdhand smoke. So how using the devices is going to affect not only the user, but the people around them as well. Also, more recently, I've started introducing the idea of the environmental impact of these devices, because many people don't know that electronic smoking devices, the battery part of it is hazardous waste, but also the nicotine part, the cartridge or the pod or the entire device, if we're talking about a disposable. Nicotine is acute hazardous waste, so the battery and wherever the liquid nicotine is going is hazardous waste. And I think that that's something that people need to know, because that means that you shouldn't just throw it away in the trash or the recycling bin. It needs to be disposed of properly through hazardous waste disposal. This is basically a recap of everything that I talk about in my presentation, just to kind of bring some of those key points home at the end. So this presentation is usually 40 to 45 minutes. If I can schedule an hour, that's ideal. That way I have time to take questions either during or after my presentation, which I really like to be able to do because there are usually a lot of questions. And when I'm doing a staff or parent presentation, I do the same presentation. I think it's really important that whether I'm talking to young people or whether I'm talking to their parents, that they're getting the same information, because I think that helps facilitate those conversations going forward if they've started out with that same kind of baseline information. So this is the same thing that I would do for parents, and I preface that at the beginning as well, so they know that if I've been in the school doing presentations or I will be in the school doing presentations, that they're hearing and seeing the same things that their students or their young people are going to be hearing and seeing. In addition to that, to be a little bit more flexible when I can, I also have what I call my mini series of presentations. So this is where I've broken down kind of the main topics of a presentation into bite-sized pieces. So each presentation is about 15 to 20 minutes. There's 7 in total, and they can all be done separately or together in a series. So starting with this first one here is what you need to know. It's really similar to my first presentation, but just a condensed version. So that same overview, talk about nicotine dependence, talk about how nicotine affects the brain. I talk about aerosols. I talk about the environmental impact, but everything's just a little bit cut down. So that can be on its own, you know, if you have an event or a presentation, a back to school night, and you want to be able to get the information in front of a lot of people, but you only have 15 or 20 minutes. This is where my presentation for that is really intended to kind of fit into that smaller piece where you want to give them the information, but you don't have the luxury of 45 minutes to an hour for that presentation. And then going off of there, you know, they can build on each other as a series, or they can all be individual. So I have one that focuses on the history and evolution of electronic smoking devices, where I talk about where the devices came from, you know, when they first start here in the United States back in 2007, and how they've evolved along the way and what's important for us to know. And then part 3 is tobacco and electronic smoking device marketing, where I talk about the marketing tactics of the traditional tobacco products and how it's reflected in electronic smoking devices and vape devices, how much the tobacco industry spends on marketing, and kind of relate it to what other companies, to kind of see the comparison. You know, $25 million a day, which is what tobacco companies spend on advertising, a lot. Especially when you can compare it to other major companies like Coca-Cola or Xbox. I also have a 15 to 20 minute presentation that's just on nicotine addiction and dependence. We dive a little bit more into what nicotine actually is, where it comes from, and some of the more specific ways that it affects the brain, especially the developing brain. Same thing with secondhand and thirdhand smoke and the environmental impact. And then finally, the last presentation here is focused on youth-led tobacco prevention products. So if we were to do all of these presentations together, and we get to the end, it's the intention is you've gotten all of this information about what these things are, how they've evolved, the health risks, the predatory marketing, the environmental impact. And then here are some things that you can do about it. So we talk about Photovoice, which Sal touched on a little bit. We talk about social norms campaigns, which is, you know, spreading more awareness that not everybody's doing it, you know, things like that. And some other tobacco specific campaigns like Red Ribbon Week, Great American Smoke Out, World No Tobacco Day, things like that. That's the mini series. Some other resources and things that I do on our San Diego FNL website, which I think Sal will be putting a link for in the chat. We have a page of just vaping resources. So from here you can see the Tobacco Prevention Toolkit out of Stanford is a really great resource. That's where a lot of my presentation information has come from. I've built on it based on my own research and other trainings that I've participated in, but the Stanford Tobacco Toolkit is kind of like the gold standard. So if you're doing any sort of tobacco prevention work and you haven't become familiar with the Stanford Toolkit, I highly recommend taking a look at that. There's a link to that here. They also have a cannabis awareness and prevention toolkit and an alternatives to suspension program called Healthy Futures. And it's just a really great resource to be able to have things available that you don't need to create from scratch, because who has the time for that? So this is really, it can be take and teach, or you can adapt it for your needs, and it's very flexible and very adaptable and very well put together and well researched from the folks at Stanford. And there's some other resources from Flavors Hook Kids, excuse me, and then the Third Hand Smoke Resource Center, which is a really great resource based out of San Diego State University. If you want to know more about third hand smoke. Then there's just some other links to resources here. If you want to go to online resources from the Truth Initiative or the California Smokers Helpline, some printable resources if you need something that you can print out and have available in an office, or be able to put the PDF up on a website or in a newsletter, some tobacco control resources, environmental resources if you want to get some more information on that, some resources specific to menthol, and then some marijuana resources as well from the folks over at the, I'm completely blanking on the name. Maybe Jim can put it in the chat where our partners over there. That'll come to me.
Our partners over where?
With
And
Joe.
Oh,
Joe.
okay, I got you. So all the county initiatives, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And also here is a place to request a virtual presentation. I am still doing virtual presentations, but I can do in-person presentations again as well. We're really, because we go into so many schools and support so many different people, we kind of just go by whatever your rules are, whatever your district or your school, your organization says is okay, I will be okay with. So just as long as we have approval from the powers that be, we'll be good. The other thing that I do that I want to promote, that I want to talk about, and maybe we won't get to see it because this one, there we go, is Tobacco Tuesday. So if you have heard of it, that's awesome. I love it. Thank you for your support. If you haven't, Tobacco Tuesday is a monthly tobacco prevention presentation that we started at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were doing it weekly as a way to continue to support the tobacco prevention work going on in the county while we were all doing things virtually and working from home. And then it's sort of evolved. We do it monthly now. It's the second Tuesday of every month at 3 p.m. here on our website. We also have an archive. So all of our episodes of Tobacco Tuesday have been recorded and are here available for anyone to watch at any time. Tobacco Tuesday Live, that second Tuesday of the month at 3 p.m. is open to anyone who wants to join us and just learn a little bit more about our topic. Our most recent episode for the month of November, we had a conversation with Dr. Brad McCamick, who is a pediatrician at Vista Community Clinic. So it was really great to talk to him and learn a little bit more about the medical side of tobacco use, nicotine dependence, and cessation. But we've covered a wide range of topics, including SB 793, the referendum on the flavor ban. We've talked to folks like Dr. Bonnie Halpern-Felsher, who is one of the founders of the Stanford Tobacco Prevention Toolkit, Dr. Stan Glantz, who's one of the most well-known researchers of tobacco use, formerly from the University of California, San Francisco, until he recently retired. We've talked to, who else have we talked to? Lots of people. We've talked to Jim. He was a guest on one. And so going through, I mean, all the way back to last March when we had our first episode, Dr. Wael Al-Delamy, who focused on hookah, Dr. Lydia Grainer, who's from the Third Hand Smoke Resource Center. So just basically anything that has to do with tobacco prevention or control, we've probably talked about it or talked to a guest about it on Tobacco Tuesday. So if you want, it's only 30 minutes. We're there from 3 to 3:30. People have the opportunity to ask questions. So it's a really great program as well if you want to get a little bit more involved into tobacco control. And then my time's almost up, so I just want to plug one more time the Stanford Tobacco Prevention Toolkit. The website is pretty user-friendly. There's really great resources on there. And then Stanford also has put together this database, the research into the impact of tobacco advertising, which if you're working on a more specific tobacco project, especially if you want to talk about advertising and sort of being able to see all in one place, they've done a really great job of collecting magazine ads and social media posts and just everything, all kinds of advertisements, and put it all into one place that's really easy to get around. So you can look for exactly what you want to look for, you know, disposable e-cigarettes, you click on that. You can go to specific brands and click on one of them and then kind of see this one has 336 images, you can go through and see. It's just a really great way to kind of a condensed version. You don't have to scour the internet on your own. They make it really easy to look at all of those things. So that's really great as well. And with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I know we're close on time. So you can also, Sal, if you wouldn't mind putting my email in the chat, you can email me. Or Jim or Sal, they know how to get a hold of me. They know where I am. And with that, I think I am ready to pass it over to Rocky.
Just a second, my computer's being glitchy tonight. Give me a second.
While we're waiting, Jim or Sal, were there any questions?
Sorry about that. I am down in Mexico City and having problems with my computer, problems with the internet. Well, thanks, Alex.
Hold on, Rocky, your audio is really not great. So I don't know if you can change microphone positions or what, but you're kind of cutting in and out. Alex, to your question, no, there was no question. So hopefully Rocky's audio worked out.
Is my audio good? Audio good, Jim?
It's better, but
Getting better.
Yeah.
One question, do you give presentations in other languages for international students? So far, we only have the capacity to do Spanish, but if someone wants to translate, we'll be happy to show up.
What I've done in the past with a district is they wanted a presentation in Arabic. So in that case, I provided my presentation, they translated it and then had one of their staff members who was comfortable speaking and answering questions in Arabic. So I provided the slides and also the speaker notes. And I can definitely do that for it to be translated into any language. But I don't do any presentations in any other languages.
Great. And I put that in the chat too, that we offer Spanish. Let's try Rocky again. Rocky, how are we doing?
Hey guys, well, Jim, send me a text or a chat if for some reason my sound cuts out. Yeah, this is the best I can do. I'm in a hotel in Mexico City. The internet was good, and I guess until now. So my program is called I Choose My Future. I don't know who's in the meeting, but some of you may have seen it. I've been doing it for DEA for the last 10 plus years. And a couple months ago, I retired from DEA and got a job with the COE as their alcohol and other drug ambassador. So I'm continuing to give essentially the same presentation now, but doing it for the COE. It's I call it a poly-drug presentation. It's a general drug abuse prevention presentation based on my 30 years of experience as a DEA agent. And so far, I've given it about 600 times in 15 countries to 130,000 students. I give it in English and Spanish, and it is only a good start. Unfortunately, a lot of schools will only give us a chance to come in and give a one-off assembly to the kids. And so we try to take full advantage of it with the I Choose My Future presentation. But of course, we do think that what the kids actually need is much more than just an assembly. And that's why under Operation Prevention San Diego, we have a whole bunch of online resources for classroom lessons and additional materials that are available for free to the schools that are interested. So we use my program, in my mind, we use our program to get in the door. And then we're hoping that the conversations that happen will motivate the schools to do more for the kids. My new paradigm when I approach a school is to access the entire school community in like a tier 1 intervention to do a student presentation, a parent presentation ahead of time, one in English, one in Spanish for the Spanish speaking parents, and then do a staff training before we do the student presentations. And I've got one school district, San Pasqual Union, very small district, but they've agreed to use that paradigm in January. So we're going to give the 2 parent presentations. We're going to make them multi-district and invite parents from other districts to attend those presentations if they choose. And then I'm going to do a staff training, and then I'll engage the students with my I Choose My presentation. And it's pretty strong. 10 years ago, a lot of people thought it was too strong for kids. It's too direct, and because it's real. I'm talking about the reality of what drug abuse does to people. But many schools now, I think, see what I do as much more mainstream and reasonable, given where we've come as a society. So I'm going to do a very quick abbreviated version of my PowerPoint. and just to give you a feel for what the presentation is like.
Hey, Rocky, while you're sharing, just to give you a heads up, we've just got about 10 minutes left.
Okay, yeah, I'll go quickly.
Cool. All right.
But my computer doesn't really glitchy. So I'm having internet problems and having computer problems as well. But now my slides aren't advancing. Looks like it was sharing properly. Try one more time. And if it doesn't work, then I will just. Okay, I choose my future. So this is not a just saying program. This is not DARE, even though I've been a cop. This is about explaining to the students generally from 6th grade on. My target audience is middle school. I think that's where we get the best value for this. I do a lot of high school presentations as well, but unfortunately, a lot of high school students are more jaded and closed off. So I really do think the best age for this is middle school. Ramona had me come in and do all the 5th graders a couple years ago because they recognize it young. But we explain to the kids that it's about choices, that no one's going to force them to use a drug. They're going to go to a party. Someone they admire, some friend is going to say, look what I got, let's do this. And unfortunately, since many schools don't have any kind of organized drug prevention program, the kids have absolutely no basis, and no information to judge that decision. And again, my slide's not advancing.
Yeah, we're losing your audio again too, Rocky.
Well, again, I'm just going to wrap up for mine. I mean, I can tell how my video and stuff's coming through or not coming through. Are you there?
Yeah. So sorry, Rocky. The audio is in and out, and your slides weren't advancing. So I think what we're going to do is just hold on for a couple of minutes, and if people have questions. So Rocky's presentation really, as he was saying, really is fantastic. It really gets the kids' attention and holds their attention through the whole presentation. Really, really geared towards 6th through 12th grade. Can be adapted for younger kids if anyone is interested in that. So I put in the chat that on the first slide that I showed, the Operation Prevention San Diego, and I think Sal put that link in the chat. On that link, you'll find flyers for both the information that Alex was talking about, the vaping presentations. You'll find a flyer for that and information on how to request presentations. And we have a similar flyer with information about Rocky and Rocky's presentations and how to request presentations. So thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Sorry. Yeah, so similar flyer. There's a link to the flyer for Rocky's information and how to request presentations for that as well. So I would encourage you all to go to that Operation Prevention San Diego website and take a look at all the resources. And if you're interested in any of those presentations, either vaping or just general AOD presentations, to contact us through the information on those flyers. Rocky, anything else in the last minute or so, if we can get your audio going? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. I want to get busy. I'll talk to any group. I like to do bigger groups. I've handled up to 2,000 students at Torrey Pines High School in one assembly, but I'll still speak to smaller groups if you have them. And again, I'm really encouraging schools to look at that tier 1 intervention, where we give the parents a chance, those few parents to tune in. We give the parents a chance to hear it. We hit the school staff to explain to them what the kids are going through and to empower the school staff to support us in ongoing conversations. And then we hit the kids hard with some basic information that they need to know.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Jim.
we're really looking for that comprehensive approach, and not just doing the one-time assemblies are great, but we also want to get Rocky in there to talk to staff, school staff, community-based organization staff, what have you, and then also parents. We'll be doing parent forums, hopefully at least one in each region this school year with this information as well. So Alex, Sal, anything you guys want to add? We've got a couple of minutes left. I have nothing in the chat. So I'll just bring everyone back if there's anything else you guys want to add. Otherwise, we can give folks the the gift of 5 minutes. 4 now. So Rocky, thanks for being here. I know that you were traveling and it was really difficult. So thanks for that. I apologize to all about the audio, but I really want to thank Rocky for chiming in from a completely different country. So appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
they asked if, does Rocky have a website? So
Go to the SDCOE website, the OPSD, the San Diego County Office of Education. The best way to do it is Google, honestly.
that's
Well,
exactly what I did. Yeah.
yeah.
Google it. It's
Google
dumb.
San Diego County Office of Education, Operation Prevention San Diego, or just type in the letters SDCOE OPSD. That will take you to that site, and you'll see all the various resources. So Rocky is now, a staff member for SDCOE. So all of his, again, a flyer about his presentations and how to access those will be on that website. But I would just Google SDCOE OPSD. I think, Sal, you put that in the chat earlier, right? From the
I just did again.
my first slide. Well, yeah, that's not going to take them directly to OPSD, but they'll get there. If we link if we link directly to OPSD.
I think I just did right now, and then I'll put his flyer
Oh,
for
yeah,
his
okay.
presentation.
Yep, I see it. Yep. So that is linked directly there.
And then I'll
All
put
right.
his flyer as well. So
I will
that
give
should cover it.
There we go. I will give this another minute to see if there's any other questions. Thank you guys very much for being here. It's late. It's almost 5 o'clock on Wednesday. I know that's tough for a lot of folks, so we appreciate you hanging in there with us. Any questions at all, please reach out to any of us at the county office. Visit that webpage, and if we can help you out with any other resources throughout the county, Rocky will be joining me, but I've been working with all the different county initiatives, the Mass Strike Force, Prescription Drug Abuse Task Force, Policy Panel, all those different groups for many years. So if any of you need specific resources for any of your regions, for school folks that are out there, let me know and I can get you connected to the right county regional resource, as well as the resources we have to offer here at the County Office of Ed. I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, so unless any of you guys have anything else to add, thank you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And tomorrow, we'll see you back tomorrow morning for the rest of the Live Well conference. So enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks.